Hello, welcome. This is Business News now reaching you live from iBrandTV News Studio, Lagos. Coming up in a moment, United Bank for Africa takes over majority stake in the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company. And now Nigeria's petrol import jumped by 55%, hits 2.52 trillion naira in 9 months. A World Food Program suspends distribution of food aid in 2 northern Ethiopian towns. Expert caution investors as China's stocks face delisting risk in the US. Glad to have you join us now and hear business stories making headlines at this hour. I am Frank Omalape. And now the United Bank for Africa PLC has taken over the majority stake in the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company and has received the endorsement of the federal government. The Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliyu, made this known on Wednesday. Aliyu said the deposit money bank had to take over the power firm due to the inability of the AEDC's major investor CAN Consortium to effectively service the loans obtained from UBA when it acquired the DISCO in 2013. UBA had acted as the mandated lead arranger, underwriting about $122 million. That's about 20 billion naira then for CAN Consortium acquisition of the AEDC. AEDC has of recent been facing significant operational challenges arising from a dispute between the core investors CAN Consortium and owners of 60% equity in the AEDC and UBS lenders for the acquisition for the majority shareholding in the public utility. According to the minister, the situation has currently deteriorated due to lack of access to intervention finances, leading to a point whereby legitimate entitlement of the staff are being owed, thus leading to service disruptions on December 6, 2021 within its franchise area. Aliyu confirmed the changes in shareholding in the AEDC and the appointment of an interim management for the DISCO by the shareholders had been endorsed by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission and the Bureau of Public Enterprises as co-shareholders in the AEDC. And away from there now, the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria says there is a need for clarity and proper enlightenment on the taxes payable through the eNaira platform by individuals and merchants. The chairman, CIT and ICT Committee, Samuel Okoye, said this while making a presentation during the 2021 business luncheon of the Institute in Lagos Wednesday. Okoye, who is also the managing director of Immaculate Metrics Plus, queried what happens to tax payable from transactions conducted using the eNaira by individuals and merchants with their counterparties that occurred in the phase 1 of the roadmap, while the eNaira wallet of Federal Inland Revenue Service are planned to come on stream of phase 3. He noted that FIRS and Inland Revenue Service in states will need to work with the CBN to achieve special alignment in the implementation phases for tax administrative purposes. The cost of premium motor spirit, also known as petrol imported into Nigeria from January to September this year, surged by 55.56% to 2.52 trillion naira from the 1.62 trillion naira spent in the same period of 2020. The development came amid the federal government's plan to remove subsidy from petrol by February next year. Already, oil marketers have begun plans to resume importation of the PMS as soon as the government deregulates the downstream sector of the petroleum sector in the first quarter of 2020, and 25.37% higher than what the country spent on PMS import in the whole of 2019 and 2020 respectively. And in the meantime, experts say Nigeria is yet to fully explore the potential of the 4th generation. According to a technology analyst, Ladi Ogunsheye, although Nigeria is preparing for the deployment of 5G by January 2022, the country has not fully explored the existing 4G technology. Ogunsheye spoke exclusively on our flagship program, Business Breakfast, earlier in the week?
I would say that hopefully by January 2022, which is the set timeline that has been set for the deployment of the network infrastructure itself into the Nigerian market, I think that we should be ready for that. But when you look at other factors that will aid smart city development, that will aid network penetration, amongst other things, the cost of smartphones, the cost of FX, the volatility of FX. You may say that it may take us a long while even get to that point where we can say, oh, we're fully exploring the opportunities that 5G comes with. Even at this point in time, we have 4G network in the country, but we are not fully exploring the opportunities that it comes with. You go to places, even in modern cities like Lagos, and you find that 4G network is virtually non-existent, or is virtually very weak. So you can say that even though you have 5G opportunity to access internet via 5G, people may not still exploit the opportunities that comes with it.
And with the planned 5G network rollout in Nigeria next year, coupled with the high speed of internet connectivity with low latency that come with 5G technology, telecoms operators have called for quick regulatory intervention on the part of the Nigerian Communications Commission in order to facilitate early approval for the installation of additional telecoms mast for 5G rollout. The telcos raised fears about the regulatory tussle between the National Environmental Standard Regulatory Agency, the Federal Ministry of Environment, and the NCC over the regulation of telecoms mast installation, a situation which the telco said had brought about a necessary delay in getting approval for the installation of telecoms mast. The telcos who spoke at the Talk to the Regulators Forum organized by NCC in Lagos insisted that the NCC must intervene fast in the regulatory tussle to enable the operators to obtain early permit for 5G network rollout within the shortest time frame, since 5G network rollout comes with faster interconnection speed. The telcos were of the view that any delays in giving approval for telecoms mast installation will adversely affect the planned 5G network rollout in Nigeria by 2022. And away from there now, Nigeria recorded 27 incidents of armed attacks and piracy against ships at port anchorages in various parts of the country. And the third quarter of the year, the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency has said. The MASA Director General Bashir Jimo disclosed these at the International Maritime Week 2021. Jimo, who spoke during the Maritime Security Roundtable on the topic Maritime Security in the Gulf of Guinea, said that the impact of armed and piracy attacks both at the anchorage and the GOG was devastating on seafarers and shipping activities. According to him, the agency would be meeting with the Inspector General of Police to discuss the performance of the Marine Police and ensuring things would be put on the ground for them to implement the Navy. And in the meantime, the food and beverage sector is estimated to contribute 22.5% of the manufacturing industry value and 4.6% of the country's GDP. However, the sector is bedeviled with its several challenges, including the lack of enabling environment and high cost of raw materials, amongst others. This is according to food entrepreneur Winifred Okocha. While highlighting some of the challenges facing the sector, Okocha proposed solutions on how the country can address these challenges. She spoke on our flagship program, Business Breakfast, earlier in the week.
I think the Nigerian government should invest more in agri. There is nothing we can actually get if you put our mind to it here, or if we try to get it here. First off, importation is very expensive. It's not making life easier for cooks here in Nigeria, because by the time you realize how much you are paying on or getting a particular item to make food for people, you realize that there is actually no gain in making these things after you've gotten the items or the ingredients to actually make this stuff. But if it is gotten here in Nigeria, we can actually reduce the cost of things. It will make life easier for everybody. It will even make people, in as much as yes, people would always eat, no matter how difficult things are in Nigeria. But then again, if they can invest in our agricultural sector, I think it will be better and it will be favorable to a lot of people, because the things that we can get. Nigeria is very fertile, and trust me, I have tried gardening in my house.
And now the Lagos State government has paid a sum of 34.13 billion naira into the retirement savings account RSA of retirees in the mainstream local government, state, universal basic board, teaching service commission, and other parastatals of the state government in the past 2 years. The retirees, numbering about 8,707 naira, those under the contributory pension scheme since the advent of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's administration in October 2019. The governor, represented by the Commissioner for Establishment Trainings and Pensions, Mrs. Ajibola Ponle, at the 9th yet retirement bond certificate presentation to retirees of the Lagos State Public Service held at Radio Lagos, Marquis 10, said the state has continued to be the leading light not only in the administration of pensions benefits, but generally in good, credible governance. He disclosed that another set of 421 retirees went home with a sum of 1.5 billion naira. He assured that the amount has already been remitted into retirees' respective account with the pension fund administrators in addition to their monthly contributions. Nigerian Communications Commission has released 5 million naira as grant to 3 top winners of the 2021 Emerging Technologies Research and ICT Innovation Competition and Exhibition. The overall winner got 2.5 million naira, while the first runner-up got 1.5 million naira and the second runner-up 1 million naira, respectively. The Emerging Technologies Research and ICT Innovation Competition and Exhibition is an annual competition organized by NCC to promote startups development and to boost locally developed solutions that address specific needs of organizations. Out of 44 applications received by NCCDCA, the top 20 were shortlisted and were made to pitch their solution before competent judges before the 3 top finalists emerged. Away from there now, Nigeria's total external merchandise trade recorded a 3.02 trillion naira deficit in the 3rd quarter of the year as imports significantly outweighed the export, leading to unfavorable trade balance, the National Bureau of Statistics said yesterday. However, total foreign trade stood at 13.2 trillion naira, indicating an increase of 10.43% compared to 12.03 trillion naira in the 2nd quarter of the year. According to the Foreign Trade in Goods statistic for 3rd quarter, which was posted on the NBS website, import value stood at 8.15 trillion naira in the 3rd quarter, an increase of 17.32% compared to 6.965 trillion naira in the preceding quarter. On the other hand, total exports stood at 5.13 trillion naira in 3rd quarter, representing an increase of about 1% compared to 5.08 trillion naira in the 2nd quarter of the year. Well, you're still watching Business News now, coming to you from our studios here. We'll take a moment now. I'll be back with more. Please do stay with us.
Swift Dry Cleaners Limited, professional dry cleaners. Best in dry cleaning and laundry services and meets the needs of our consumers. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah, for clean wash and quick delivery. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. For clean wash and quick delivery. Ooh.
Swift Dry Cleaners. Clean wash, quick delivery.
Powerful looks command respect, they say. The perfect body, the perfect grooming, and ultimately the perfect skin. Looks, style, and grooming makes the ultimate man. I've found a ridiculously easy way to make my skin always feel epic. My name is Neo. I found Blemiviv, and now my skin finally makes sense.
Glad to have you back now. This is Business News Now, coming to you live from our studios here in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. On the African scene now, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers is worried that the directive to GOIL to reduce fuel prices could cost 9 million Ghana cedis every month, insisting that it is not a sustainable solution. Speaking on Eyewitness News, the Executive Secretary of COPEC, Duncan Amoah, said the directive was very problematic because the possible effect on GOIL. The government had directed Kuwait to reduce its fuel prices by 15 face fees to bring respite to drivers will embark on a sit-down strike on Monday. As a more sustainable alternative for better fuel pricing for consumers, Mr. Amoah said a long-term measure will mean that we should situate the taxes within the context of international market prices. He also said the government should be more sensitive and not continue loading taxes onto fuel prices. Away from there now, the World Food Programme has suspended distribution of food aid in 2 northern Ethiopian towns after government looted its warehouses. Letters from rebel Tigrayan forces held aid staff at gunpoint in the town of Kombolcha. The United Nations said they stole large quantities of essential food supplies, including some for malnourished children. Northern Ethiopia is facing mass starvation amid an ongoing civil war between Tigrayan and government forces. The UN said after more than a year of fighting, more than 9 million people are in need of critical food supplies. And on the international scene, as regulatory risk rises in China, investors should reduce their exposure to Chinese stocks listed in the U.S., according to Jack Seo, Chief Investment Officer for Greater China at Credit Suisse. Seo said, and I quote, "The uncertainties to regulatory-related events are presenting risk to investors in the next 12 to 18 months. The Chinese ADR market in the U.S. has come under pressure as investors were spooked by Beijing's series of tightening regulations in the past year, which hit sectors from technology to education and real estate. ADRs are American depository receipts, which serve as proxies for shares of foreign companies that list in the U.S. And in the global oil market now, prices extended gains on Thursday on the confidence that the Omicron coronavirus variant would not dent global growth, even as some governments stepped up curbs to stop its rapid spread. U.S. West Texas Intermediate WTI crude futures rose 28 cents or about 0.4% to $72.64 a barrel earlier in the day, adding to a 4.04% gain in the previous session. Brent crude futures rose 22 cents or about 0.3% to $76.04 a barrel, adding to a 0.5% gain on Wednesday. Markets were buoyed by comment from BioNTech and Pfizer that a 3-shot course of the COVID-19 vaccines may protect against infection from the Omicron variant. And our stock rose in choppy trade on Thursday as worries about the economic impact of the Omicron coronavirus variant ebbed, but increasing caution ahead of U.S. inflation data kept other risk assets such as oil and the Australian dollar. Bonds were nursing losses since a brighter virus outlook leaves a cleaner or about clearer path to a higher rate. Traders' focus was turned to the release of inflation data on Friday and a Federal Reserve meeting next week for indications on hike timing. Market sentiment has also recovered with other pieces of preliminary data suggesting Omicron is less severe than first feared, although upsetting that has been the imposition of tougher restrictions in England to curb Omicron's spread. Well, you're still watching Business News Now from iBrand News Studios here. Up next is Entertainment Business.
Welcome to Entertainment Business. My name is Agogo Ayanago. Roku's stock was up about 8% on Wednesday morning after it said it had reached a multi-year agreement with Google to keep YouTube and YouTube TV on its streaming platform. The deal will allow the 56.4 million active Roku accounts to continue to watch YouTube and YouTube TV without disruption. Google had previously threatened to pull both YouTube and YouTube TV off Roku on December 9. The carriage fight caught the attention of Congress, which has been attempting to rein in the power of big technology companies like Google. The agreement avoids a YouTube blackout, which could have led to significant customer defections for Roku, though terms of the agreement weren't disclosed. The regulation between Roku and YouTube became contentious over both parties' need for advertising revenue. Roku claimed Google required it prefers YouTube content over that of other providers in the company's search results. Moving on, Morgan Stanley's Katie Huberty, in a note to investors, raised Apple's price target from $164 to $200 and maintained the equivalent of a buy rating, arguing that new products from Apple aren't yet added into the share price. Huberty also increased her December quarter iPhone shipment forecast by 3 million units to 83 million units, a 4% increase year over year, and said Apple hasn't hit the same supply constraint it faced in the September quarter. It also said App Store revenue is also set to outperform its initial forecasts. The note argues that Apple's stock price has increased nearly 500% over the last 5 years, driven largely by new products and services and not from iPhone revenue, which has grown 40% over the same period. Meanwhile, Apple's services business has grown to nearly $70 billion annually, and its wearable and accessories business contributes $38 billion annually. Huberty talked about 6%, and Apple's total revenue over the past 5 years has been generated by new products like AirPods, Apple Watch, and some of Apple's services, which didn't exist 5 years ago. Shares of Apple's closed up 3.5% on Tuesday, reaching a new all-time high. That's it on Entertainment Business. My name is Agogo Ayanago. Back to you, Frank.
Well, thank you, Agogo. Well, up next is now sport business.
On sports business, the New York Rangers are the National Hockey League's first team to reach a $2 billion valuation, a 21% year-over-year increase. It puts the Rangers at the #1 spot on the Forbes NHL valuation list for the 7th year in a row. The rest of the league's teams hit an average valuation of $865 million, a 32% jump from last year, and the biggest increase since 2013, when the average rose to 50%. The Toronto Maple Leafs ranked second at a $1.8 billion valuation, followed by the Montreal Canadiens at $1.6 billion. The league's 7-year broadcasting deal with ESPN and Tuna began this season at an average of $625 million each year, before it was only worth roughly $300 million annually. The Seattle Kraken paid a whopping $650 million fee to enter the league this season and are already valued at $875 million thanks to ticket sales. The New York Islanders moved to a new arena, increasing their valuation by 83%. Fenway Sports Group entered an agreement to purchase the Pittsburgh Penguins for $900 million earlier this year, which is 4.5 times the team's projected revenue for the 2021-2022 season. Meanwhile, the Oilers doubled in value from last season to $1.1 billion. NHL hockey-related revenue include tickets, merchandise, concessions, broadcasting deals, sponsorship, and parking areas are estimated to jump from $4.8 billion this season to $5.4 billion in the 2022-2023 season, and the league itself expects revenue to hit $6 billion by 2025-2026 season. And still talking sports business, Formula One team Mercedes-AMG have announced an end to their controversial sponsorship agreement with insulation firm Kingspan. Mercedes had announced on the 1st of December that the £4 million deal would see the company's branding feature on the car for the final 2 races of the 2021 season in Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi. However, the partnership resulted in significant backlash for the team as Kingspan is involved in the ongoing public inquiry into the 2017 Grenfell Tower tragedy, where 72 people lost their lives in a fire that was found to have spread rapidly due to unsafe cladding, some of which was provided by the Irish-based company. Grenfell survivors and victims groups, as well as the UK Housing Secretary Michael Gove, publicly criticized the deal following its announcement. Now, Mercedes-AMG and Kingspan have mutually agreed to end the deal after recognizing that the sensitivity surrounding the Grenfell tragedy and the inquiry made it not appropriate for the partnership to move forward. And that's it on Sports Business. I'm Samson Oloyede.
Well, thank you, Samson, for that story there. Well, this is where we call it a wrap on business news now at this hour. Many thanks for watching. I am Frank Omalape. I'll see you again.